Hello and welcome to a special podcast for the eShopperReviews 2022 Game Awards. I'm Jen Ip.
And I'm Jake McNeil.
And this week we'll be revealing the finalists and winners for awards in various categories.
Before continuing, I want to apologize if my voice sounds off. I've been sick recently and we are recording these as I am still recovering. Also, we're recording with heavy weather coming in and out, so please just bear with us here. Thank you.
So today is day 2 of the awards, and we'll be looking at technical awards for games on the Nintendo Switch in 2022.
That's right.
So let's start with...
Well, you got to introduce the categories.
I figured people would know what the technical award is. Things like sound design and music.
Yeah, it's like the nuts and bolts of what goes into making a game, the different aspects of the game. So, which game did the music best, or which game did the graphics best, that kind of stuff.
Okay, fine. We'll start with best music.
Okay.
And is it like before where you have 5 runner-ups?
Yes. For each of the categories here, I have at most 1 winner and 5 runners-up. And I limit myself to that because if I didn't, then I'd have a gazillion different runners-up. So that wouldn't really mean much if I named every game I played this year.
All right, so we'll start with best music.
Yes. The runners-up for best music are Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet by Minako Adachi, Junichi Masuda, Go Ichinose, Hiromitsu Maeba, Teruo Taniguchi, Hitomi Sato, and Toby Fox. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 by Yasunori Mitsuda, Kenji Hiramatsu, Manami Kiyota, and Miriam Abaunasser. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Ooh.
Kirby and the Forgotten Land by Yuta Ogasawara, Hirokazu Ando, Jun Ishikawa, and Yuki Shimuka. Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream by Kazuki Yanagawa, Daisuke Achiwa, Tatsuya Yano, and Ryudai Abe. And the final runner-up is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel by Yasunori Nishiki. All right, so that's all of the runners-up. Any thoughts?
I really am so impressed with how much game music has improved since we were kids.
Since the bleeps and bloops, right?
Yes. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so you're ready to hear the winner then?
Yes.
So the winner for Best Music on Nintendo Switch in 2022 is Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope by Yoko Shimomura Grant Kirkhope and Gareth Coker.
Interesting. Wow, a full orchestra for a Rabbids game.
I know! It's really surprising, and I never would have expected this game to win in this category until I'd actually laid hands on it and felt the impact that the soundtrack has on this game. It really lends this game a truly epic feel, which is so bizarre for a game starring Mario and Screaming Rabbit characters.
Yeah, exactly.
But it really elevates the game to a whole new level. And I think that a large part of the reason for that is, I mean, when you look at the creators behind this soundtrack, it is a dream team. Yoko Shimomura is responsible for the Kingdom Hearts games. Grant Kirkhope is probably best known for creating the soundtrack for Banjo-Kazooie. And Gareth Coker is the one responsible for Ori and the Blind Forest. And these are already amazing soundtracks.
Yes,
and you combine all these talents together, and what you get is something that is way better than you would ever expect from Mario plus Rabbids. And it takes the whole game to a new level and makes it all the more engaging.
All right, next category is Best Song.
Yeah, so have some interesting choices this time around. Are you ready to hear them?
Mm-hmm.
The runners-up are Out and About by Andreas Busk from Welcome to Elk. Memories by Matt Meyer from Beacon Pines.
I love that guitar.
I think the guitar and the vocals both just really give the whole thing this warm feel. Okay, the next runner-up is Running Through the New World by Yuta Ogasawara, Hirokazu Ando, Jun Ishikawa, and Yuki Shimuka from Kirby and the Forgotten Land. We Ain't Came to Lose by Raekwon and Ghostface Killah from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Nice to meet you, now I'm here to beat you with full force. Mess up your facial features. Hasta la vista, I'm selling all y'all little Caesars. All y'all stuff your face with is pizza. Pizza crack like a hard-boiled egg on Easter. See these muscles on me? I could beat your teacher. I'll defeat Leonardo, y'all become the weakest. I take off all of your mass and dismantle your features.
Kind of different than the others. I kind of love how this is from the final battle in the game, and it kind of makes it feel like Shredder's throwing down in this epic rap battle.
I can see that. I can see that.
And the final runner-up here is Somewhere in Between by Kazuki Yanagawa, Daisuke Achiwa, Tatsuya Yano, Ryudai Abe from Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream.
It sounds so sweet.
So, those are the runners-up. Any thoughts?
I really like all of them.
I'm glad to hear that.
I think the Kirby one is my least favorite, but I enjoyed all of them.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed about almost all of the selections this year, where previous years, a lot of the songs that I picked tended to focus on a pivotal moment in the game. In this year, most of the selections are either kind of your introduction to the world of the game, or they were your kind of, mulling about the game, doing kind of just what you're doing throughout the game. And it's kind of a getting you into the feel of the game's flow in all of these cases. And I feel like all of these songs, with the exception of the Ninja Turtle song, that's kind of a whole different thing. But all of the other songs, including what ended up becoming the winner, really kind of bring you into the feel of the game. And each song, as I'm hearing it play, immediately puts me in mind of that game and makes me kind of feel like I remember everything that I loved about these individual games.
So, who's our winner?
Well, for the winner for Best Song on Nintendo Switch in 2022, we have Overworld Theme 4 by Minako Adachi, Junichi Masuda, Go Ichinose, Hiromitsu Maeba, Teruo Taniguchi, Hitomi Sato, and Toby Fox from Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet.
Interesting.
I know that to some, this might sound like a very strange choice. It is just a piano solo. But I feel like this song is performing multiple magic tricks. First of all, you're talking about a piano theme in an open world Nintendo game, and it sounds nothing like Breath of the Wild. Even though Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet have gotten some comparisons to Breath of the Wild, both positive and negative, this song doesn't even attempt to try and imitate that kind of style of piano music. It goes for its own kind of pleasant theme. But the other really magical thing it does is this. When I talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, the first thing a lot of people are going to think about is how terrible the graphics and presentation were.
Mm-hmm.
It's unavoidable. When you talk about that game, it has to come up in the conversation. At the same time, this is a game that wants you to get this feeling of wonderment and adventure and this feeling of the peaceful beauty of the world around you and wanting to see more of it. And the graphics are not up to that task. In fact, they run counter to that task. So it falls on the soundtrack of the game, on the music to convey that same feeling. And I feel like this song does a really good job of it. It can't distract you from all of the visual flaws this game has, but it still helps to convey that same feeling of this is a beautiful world and I want to see more of it. Maybe not literally see more of it, but I want to explore it. I want to go everywhere and do everything. At least that's what it meant to me. You played a lot of Pokemon Violet yourself. What did you think?
It took me a little bit to get into the music of Pokemon Violet and Scarlet.
It's funny you should say that. I felt the exact same way.
Yeah, like I felt like the first introductory bits of music that I heard was kind of okay. It wasn't until mid game where when I went, oh, this actually sounds good.
I was the same way, and I think, and what I've said is, I think a part of the reason for that is when I started to go off exploring, I explored off into the west areas, and I feel like the areas to the west have some of the worst music in the game, and the areas to the east have some of the best music in the game. But this is one of the first themes that starts playing when you first start out toward the south, so I feel like this is usually what people get introduced to the game. It's not the first song you hear, but it's fairly early into the game.
All right. Next category is Best Sound Design.
Yes.
And maybe we should kind of explain what we mean about that.
Yeah, I seem to recall we were talking about this earlier and you were kind of confused. By sound design, basically I mean all the stuff that you're hearing that is not music and is not voice acting.
Like footsteps, maybe.
Yeah, that could be one of the things that you hear. All the little sound effects, all of the environmental noises that you're hearing throughout the world. Or these sound effects that augment those things like the music and the voices.
All right. So you want to tell the audience who our runners-ups are?
Yes. So, we only have 3 runners-up because, to be perfectly honest, I wasn't super impressed with the sound design in many games this year.
That's fair.
So, the 3 runners-up are It Takes Two,
Yay!
Nintendo Switch Sports,
Okay.
and Seashell. It Takes Two, we both talked about the sound design, the way, like, when you're going through the vacuum tubes, the way that the
Yes.
sound that you're bouncing, and how it affects the voices of the characters. And there's all kinds of other little cute things that they do with the sound throughout the game that I think really enhance it. Nintendo Switch Sports, one of the things that's really important for getting you into the feel of a sports game is the sound that all the balls and all the strikes and all that makes. And Nintendo Switch Sports does that very well. And Seashell, it's almost kind of a audiovisual experience more than a game. And in that respect, it almost acts as a really good replacement for, you know, those soundscape CDs that you get that have like the sound of the ocean playing.
Yeah.
Well, that's basically this game, plus you get to see a little section of the ocean as well.
So what was the game that won Best Sound Design?
The winner for Best Sound Design on Nintendo Switch in 2022 is Grand Mountain Adventure Wonderlands.
I have no idea what that game is.
So Grand Mountain Adventure is a skiing game where the entire game is portrayed mostly from kind of a top-down, almost a kind of down angle. Anyway, everything looks like kind of this cute little model, like one of those Christmas Village kind of things. But the sound design still manages to convey this feel like you're shredding through real snow. Everything sounds pretty good when you're moving through it. And there are fun little extra bits that they put in there that they didn't need to. Like, if you pass one of the little NPC characters who's wandering around, he might be whistling a happy little tune as you go by him. It's really adorable.
Oh.
And while the other games on this list all make really good use of sound, Grand Mountain Adventure is the only game on this list that I feel like the presentation is really shaped by its sound. Yeah, I feel like it's well deserving of Best Sound Design this year.
Up next in our awards is Best Voice Acting, which I am very intrigued by.
Intrigued? Why intrigued?
Because, I don't know, I think voice acting is a very interesting art, and I'm curious to see what you think.
I think it's an interesting art as well. Once again, looking over the last year or so of games, while there were a bunch of games that had decent voice acting, there were only a few that really truly stood out to me. And so I only have 3 runners-up and 1 winner here. The 3 runners-up are The Diofield Chronicle, Bug Snacks, and Beacon Pines.
Ooh.
The Diofield Chronicle has some really good character voice work. Bug Snacks, completely different kind of character voice work, but really makes it more than just a bunch of silly Muppet-looking characters talking with each other and actually makes them feel like real people. And Beacon Pines is voice work of a different sort. That game is primarily voiced just by this narrator, but this narrator takes on a personality of her own, and it's like she's kind of gently guiding you through this story and reassuring you that things are going to turn out okay. Really helps to sell the tone of this game. However, those were not the games that I decided would win this category.
So who's our winner?
The winner for Best Voice Acting in a Nintendo Switch game in 2022 is It Takes Two.
You know, I wholeheartedly agree.
One of the things that I really think just shocked me about this game is that 2 of the 3 main characters are voiced by the same person, and I never would have guessed it for the world of me. Joseph Balderrama pulls double duty as both one of the protagonists, Cody, and as the game's antagonist, Dr. Hakim. The 2 characters could not be more different, and they both have this really full personality that absolutely sells the story of the game so well. And it's not just about Joseph Balderrama, although he's amazing in this game. I think he's one of the best parts of this game. But the second protagonist, May, voiced by Annabelle Dowler, is also really well done, plays very well against Balderrama's Cody, and the trio of characters all have this beautiful interaction with each other, and so much of that is sold through the game's voice acting.
All right. Next up in our awards is Best Graphical Style.
To be clear, when I say graphical style, I'm looking at graphics not in terms of a technical level, not like, oh, this looks super realistic, or, oh, this looks so impressive, but in terms of kind of the artistic beauty of it all, how well designed it is, how unique it is, that kind of thing.
So who are our runner-ups?
The runners-up for Best Graphical Style are Beacon Pines, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and Kirby's Dream Buffet.
I like that Kirby's Dream Buffet made it.
The food in that game looked so good. Every element of that game just looked delicious in a really wonderful way.
Oh, yeah. So who won?
Who won, indeed? Well, the winner for Best Graphical Style in a Nintendo Switch game in 2022 went to Live Alive. So, Live Alive, like I said before, it is the third game to use the HD 2D style. So that's nothing new for this game. However, I feel like Square Enix, with each successive game in this style, has really developed the visual style in these games and made them look even more impressive. And the lighting and shadows in particular in Live Alive are amazing. And it's funny because it's still just, at its core, it's just working with pixel art visuals that have kind of been rendered in a 3D style. Yet despite that, all of the visual effects really give this game beauty and splendor that goes well beyond those simple 2D graphics. And yeah, absolutely make this a great game to look at.
Best Graphics.
Best Graphics is kind of the flip side of the coin of what I was just talking about. Here we are looking at how technically impressive are these games. Okay?
And then who are we looking at?
The runners-up for Best Graphics are Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Harvestella, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Mario Strikers Battle League, and Kirby's Dream Buffet.
All right, so who won for Best Graphics?
The winner for Best Graphics on Nintendo Switch in 2022 is Bayonetta 3.
I am not surprised.
Yeah, I didn't think you would be. The moment you saw that game, I heard you oohing and awing over it.
Oh, yeah.
And you are a PC gamer.
Yeah.
You've seen impressive graphics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bayonetta 3 does some really amazing things with Nintendo Switch and shows that there is still some life left in that machine. It's just people need to know how to squeeze the goodness out. Bayonetta 3 takes things up a notch in its set-piece moments where you're like skateboarding your demon through a city of tumbling skyscrapers that's getting swallowed into a vortex. But the really cool thing is, while you're going about your normal action, just fighting monsters and stuff, you get this demon slave ability where at any time you can summon a massive kaiju to fight for you. And so in the middle of just these normal battles, you can have these kaiju battles that are kind of, you're jumping back and forth between them. And it takes it to a whole new level of impressiveness. And yeah, this was one of those ones where it was really easy for me to pick a winner in this category. No question, Bayonetta 3 definitely the best looking game on Switch this year.
Next up is Best Story. I am very curious. So who are our runner-ups?
So the runners-up for Best Story are Xenoblade Chronicles 3, It Takes Two, Beacon Pines, Star Seeker in The Secret of the Sorceress Standoff, and Triangle Strategy.
Wow. Oh, I would say, can you tell me more about the story? But there's this thing called spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anyone. I'll give very brief rundowns here. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 takes place in a world where two warring factions are on limited lifespans until a group from each of them kind of gets stuck with the other and they're forced to work together. It Takes Two is a story about two parents who are on the verge of divorcing, who have their child's magical wish transform them into insect size, and they need to go on an adventure to try and restore themselves to normal. Beacon Pines takes place in kind of a storybook world where anthropomorphized animals are, they're acting like humans, and this one young boy is trying to discover the secrets of his town, which might tie into what happened to his missing parent. Starseeker is about this assistant detective in a magical world who is trying to get to the bottom of this strange occurrence that seems to have left behind a pile of bodies in a wizard's workshop. And Triangle Strategy is a Game of Thrones style drama where you play as the heir to the throne in a vassal kingdom who is caught in the middle of a massive political struggle as multiple bigger kingdoms all around them start to get into a war over resources.
All right, so who's our winner?
The winner for Best Story in a Nintendo Switch game in 2022 is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Oh.
13 Sentinels, I think I mentioned fairly recently. This is a game where it's technically a strategy game. The strategy and strategy RPG-ish elements in the game are good, but constantly throughout the game, I felt myself frustrating with having to play through those elements because I kept wanting to get back to the story. And few games made me feel that addicted to their story, like 13 Sentinels did. To give you an idea, just within the first few chapters of this game, you have a bunch of children in a Japanese high school who find themselves suddenly transported into mechs and fighting kaiju. And there's cases of mistaken identity. There's time travel going on. There's a potential alien invasion story. There's all kinds of what the heck is going on here. And it's like each new chapter feels like it's adding even more complexity onto this, where you're wondering just where the heck it's all going, how it ties together. And it's such a gripping drama, and with so many different interesting characters, yeah, it had me far more interested in that story than any other story this year.
All right, our last category is Best New Character.
Yes.
As in Best New Character introduced into the series.
Yes, or new character in a new game entirely.
Yes, that works too. So, who are our runner-ups?
So, the runners-up, or runner-ups, however we're pronouncing
However we want to do it.
Comte de Saint-Germain from Card Shark. Everett from What Lies in the Multiverse. Rabid Peach from Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Noah, Uni, Lance, Sena, Tyon, and Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And Serenoa Wolfort from Triangle Strategy. Now, before we move on, I feel like I should explain a few of these. First of all, Rabid Peach is not technically a new character. Rabid Peach was in the first Mario plus Rabbids game, but she is characterized so differently here. Her personality is so much more evolved that it feels like she's a new character. So I felt like that qualified. And as for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I tried to pick one of the 6 main characters in this game, and I just couldn't because they're all good and they work so well as an ensemble. So I felt like if I named one of them, I would have to name them all, and I couldn't not name one of them. So that's why they're all in here. But they are all, as with the others, runners-up.
So who's the best new character then?
The best new character in a Nintendo Switch game in 2022 is Dr. Hakim from It Takes Two.
Oh, I love that.
I didn't know if you would agree with me on this. I didn't think you liked Dr. Hakim.
I mean, okay, so he's a bit annoying, and of course he's meant to be.
Yeah, he's the antagonist.
Yeah, but he's so funny.
He really is. I love how every time you see him, you know that he's just going to stir things up and make things worse for the protagonists. And yet, every time I see him, I felt a little bit of glee, like, oh, what's he going to pull this time? And just that notion that every time you see a character, things for you as the player are going to be worse, but things are also going to get more interesting. That says a lot about a character right there. And it really made me fall in love with this character, despite how much of a nuisance he made himself for the protagonists. Just a great character. If they ever make a sequel to It Takes Two, I want to see him come back.
All right, so that's all for day 2. Please be sure to keep checking back throughout the week as we continue to announce more awards.
Later.